white people are posing as non-white people for clout, say Vice News. You can see why Tim Pool described these people as lazy and overpaid. But this...
Hang on, is this going to be like racial dollars where they're like, I don't want my white privilege.
Yes.
I want my brown privilege.
That's exactly what it is. So if being white is such a privileged position in America, why are there so many people who are posing as non-whites? Or is it that the racial justice contingent of the left, which is pretty much all of it at this point, have stigmatized being white through all of their many, 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 many examples of articles saying, in summary, white people bad. So anyway, as Vice News tell us, for generations, people of color had to pass for survival. Now white people are wearing the experiences of racialized people like a costume and getting called out for it. It's literally an admission that there is an advantage to being non-white.
Why are they doing it elsewise?
Why else
Why would you
do
want
it?
oppression?
Exactly. Exactly. You couldn't... Author Harry Ziad invited Jessica Krug to a party at his apartment in Crown Heights. Things had often been tense between Krug, then an associate professor of history at George Washington University, who taught African history, and Ziad's friends, many of whom didn't believe she was black, a suspicion that turned out to be well-founded. According to Ziad, 29, Krug, who positioned herself as a police abolitionist originally from the Bronx, frequently complained that his black friends were gentrifiers or that their politics weren't as absolute as hers. As an Ariana Grande song played at one party, one of Ziad's friends joked, "This is my favorite white woman of color," a nod to Grande's bronzer-fueled racial ambiguity. So this is something that apparently they'll think about, they'll care about, and it's advantageous to be non-white, to the point where they'll say, well, this white woman of colour is using bronzer in order to make herself look non-white for clout, apparently. Krug didn't care for the quip. She was like, you can't say that. She steals from black people. You shouldn't be encouraging that. So Krug, the racially dubious person in the room, is now patrolling the boundaries of white people claiming that they're black. Amazing.
Also, what are you stealing from them?
I don't know. Clout.
Stealing clout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know, right? It's just, really lots of revelations here. On September the 3rd, 2020, Krug called Ziad in a panic to reveal the truth. She wasn't an Afro-Latina from the Bronx. Her parents weren't from Puerto Rico. They were from Kansas. I don't think she ever actually said, "I'm white," said Ziad. So she admits to being a white person from Kansas on the phone, as some teary confession. An awful situation to find yourself in.
I admit I'm white.
Literal racial inquisition, and this woman is ashamed to say that she's white. I mean, why are we pathologizing anyone's race? Why is this an issue? Anyway, in an overwrought Medium post published that same day called "The Truth and the Anti-Black Violence of My Lies," Krug elaborated on her long-running ruse, which she said had been going on for most of her adult life. While Krug didn't explain why she chose to out herself at that particular moment, an associate professor of global diaspora studies at Michigan State University, whose name I can't pronounce, tweeted that Krug was about to be exposed by black Latina scholars. So literally, they're like, this woman claims that she's not white, and they've got, we've got proof of the one-drop rule that doesn't apply to you. You've got no black ancestry. You are racially suspect. And this is the wonderful world of racial politics, by the way, that we obviously disavow completely. This is what we're talking about when we're saying the left is creating the conditions for a race war. They are literally hounding people on the basis that they don't believe that their race is what they say it is. But anyway, Krug continued.
I love how it's the reversal of the Argentinian meme as well.
Yeah.
Like there's a meme of Argentina where like Argentina is white, and it looks ridiculous. And then you've got literally the reverse here. It's like, I'm not white.
Yes.
Why? Like, why are you obsessed with this?
There was a Patriarchy Comics one of literally both sides. You know, I'm effing black. It's like, you're effing black, and then there's just a person in the middle being like, oh God, why do I have to be subject to this? But anyway, Miss Krug says, I have eschewed my lived experience as a white Jewish child in a suburban Kansas City under various assumed identities within a blackness, capital B, that I had no right to claim. First, North African blackness. North Africans aren't black.
They're a type of black?
No, they're Mediterranean.
No, I'm trying to think in their logic. Like, how does this even... Are Asians a type of black now?
I don't know, but North Africans aren't black.
But that's the point. Like, if North Africans are a type of black, like, surely every other group is now a type of black as well. Like anyone under the Bane
As long as
category.
it's not white, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's not good enough to be non-white. You now have to be a type of black.
This is all very confusing. I'm glad I'm not a racial politician, frankly. But anyway, she says, first North African blackness, then US-rooted blackness, then Caribbean-rooted Bronx blackness. I'm not a culture vulture, I'm a culture leech. Okay, that's terrifying. It felt very violating, Ziad said, but on the other hand, it felt like an affirmation of so many things that I felt. What an S show this is. What an absolute S show. It's like, oh, your racial makeup makes me feel affirmed now that I've outed you as a white person. It's mad. So anyway, they say the phenomenon seems counterintuitive. After all, in past generations and continuing today, people of colour have had to position themselves closer to whiteness, even passing as white in order to survive or get ahead. Well, that's obviously not the case now then, is it? Now white people are deliberately recategorizing themselves into underprivileged groups. While it's tempting to pathologize these posers as one-offs who may be suffering from mental illness, experts I spoke to said that would amount to scapegoating. Though it sounds paradoxical, they said wearing the experiences of racialized people like a costume, as if white people aren't being racialized in all of this, an act in search of opportunities, attention, or cultural currency is in fact the height of white privilege.
Sorry, what?
It's your white privilege to attempt to wear the experiences of racialized people like a costume.
But why am I wearing that costume? Surely to get away from my white privilege.
Well,
because there's no privilege in it.
Yeah, well, that's the point. To gain opportunities, attention, or cultural currency. They just admit this is what you can get if you are from a non-white background.
Does that work in reverse as well? Because there's a very big thing in South Korea of trying to look American. Like, they have operations on their eyes and all this stuff, whitening their skin. So are they also getting...
Are you saying that Jimin is giving up?
Well, the reverse, actually. He's giving up his white privilege.
Yeah.
The reverse is taking place in South Korea.
Right, well, yeah, maybe, I don't know much about South Korea. But the fact that I like the fact that they list these things here. You get opportunities, attention, and cultural currency if you're not white because of the racialization of culture that the left has created. And white people who are sneaking into that are bad and need to be exposed for all the world to see. So yeah, if fully posing as someone from a different background is the extreme end of the spectrum, blackfishing or playing up racial ambiguity, as the case with Ariana Grande and Kim Kardashian, could be seen as a socially acceptable version of the same phenomenon, wearing race for clout. Why do you get clout because of your race? I can't imagine.
Specifically for your non-white race.
Yeah, I can't imagine just being the kind of person who thinks that someone deserves more attention because they are a certain race.
And this is all because of leftist politics and what it's done to discourse in the West. I mean, this is why you end up finding people with Twitter accounts where they're pretending to be a black man. Mm-hmm. And it's usually because they just couldn't make the arguments they want to make otherwise.
Oh, no. It's even better. There are loads of examples of white academics who pose on Twitter as black academics and then get exposed and then shut down their Twitter account.
I was thinking more on I've seen like conservative types doing it, where they're doing it because they're just like, well, I can't express this opinion on immigration. Now I'm a black man. I certainly can.
How dare they blackfish us? But no,
then it's a black privilege.
That's true. But there are lots of white leftists who do this apparently. But anyway, Marianne Iriga, the assistant professor of sociology and African American studies at the University of Georgia, said that while some people might find it confusing that a white person would choose to identify as part of a marginalized group, there is a cultural benefit. Marginalized benefit. What does that mean? Do you want to get that? What does that mean? That means that the marginalized group are not actually marginalized. They come with benefits, which makes it sound more like an aristocracy, does it not? People would often say it's fashionable to be black. It's fashionable to be native. And it's not appropriation, I guess, if you are being an imposter. People don't know that you're not from that group. Oh, now we're calling people imposters, are we? That's progressive.
Also, why they're not black? I mean, this is again with the Jimin or the Rachel Dolezal. It's like, why can you actually say they're not if they do actually identify, even if it's only for an hour? Because remember, your gender can change on an hourly basis.
Why don't the laws of gender transitioning apply to race transitioning? They both are based on the repudiation of biological essentialism and the excess external characteristics that are presented to the world, because these things are social constructions, and so that's all you need to be able to present in order to socially adopt that role. Why is it wrong? And the answer, of course, is it's not wrong. Anyway, So let's just carry on. Zayad has not spoken to Krug since the phone call in which she revealed she was white. He believes that she, quote, wanted to harm black people. She pretended to be a black person because she wanted to harm black people.
Because she put some bronze on.
Yes. This is what the racial inquisition does to you. It turns you into a mental case. And it also means that you're talking nonsense. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You know, when someone imitates you, it means that they think that what you're doing is fantastic and they want a part of it. And if they can't have a part of it because they are not authentically that thing, them trying to imitate is the best that they can do. And so they've made a conscious effort to be like the thing that they are imitating. So in fact, this is not an attempt to harm black people with a capital B. It is an attempt to be a black person and show black people otherwise that she respects what they are and what they do. It's an awful way of framing this. But anyway, she wants to harm black people, consciously or otherwise, and that she did. He said that she insulted the black women editors of his book, which I'm not going to name, encouraged him to isolate himself from his friends, picked fights with white people in public, while expecting her black friends to defend her, and was critical that Ziad was in therapy, describing it as individualistic. Apparently it's individualistic to go to therapy now. I mean, they are anti-individualism, and as someone who's pro-individualism, I'm not surprised they would find ways of trying to undermine that.
But I'm surprised they're against therapy. I mean, the kind of people who come from California, like all of you are in therapy for God's sakes. It's kind of the meme. So
yeah. But anyway, moving on. Let's talk about our favourite transracial person, Talcum X. After recently deleting his Twitter account because the mother of Tamir Rice called him out saying he wasn't black when he was parading around pretending he was black for money, which seems to be true, he has proven her wrong by buying an $842,000 mansion. Because that definitely shows that you care about black lives. It's a very nice looking place. So he had a 2-bedroom apartment in New York.
How much money did he raise? Because I remember he did a fundraiser for that lady who then ended up turning against him. Well, it was for what was it, a dead son or something? Another BLM martyr. Yeah. How much money was it that she said went missing?
I can't remember offhand, but he has raised millions of dollars.
Begin with an 8.
I should have checked, actually. I don't have it up. If you can find it, John, feel free to pull it up. But anyway, so yeah, he has moved into this new lakeside property with his wife. It's amazing, and of course, Tamir Rice's mother has called him an imposter for pretending to be black when he is in fact not black. For anyone who doesn't know, Sean King's parents are both of German ancestry. Sean King's story is that he is partially black because his mother is a whore who cheated on his father with a black man.
That's his story.
His mother denies the story. I'm not aware that Sean King has had any kind of genetic test to prove his point, so we'll just believe him when he says this and accept Sean King as the first transracial person. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.